What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the overall market. I'm also going to talk about why tomorrow is going to be an absolutely wild day as we have big data coming out from the Fed and more information involving what's about to happen. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY in uninvested cash. The offer ends at the end of March. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with this market. Looking at NIO, we have a possible cup and handle-like structure that's trying to develop right here, but we haven't really gotten a breakout so far for this to really start pushing us higher. We also have not lost key support to start dumping lower, so we're just stuck in the middle for now between this 4.2-ish area and resistance around this 4.4 zone, going back and forth and back and forth. Now, we have a big catalyst for tomorrow that could dictate how this market is going to move. But just know that my prediction about how the market was going to see a bounce was correct, as the market saw an exaggerated drop after the news that came out. Now, DeepSeek staggered the markets, of course, but more details came out about it, about how one of the models cost about just under $6 million to produce. Did it lead to some questions about the US dominance in the AI race? Sure, it does. But at the same time, you have to consider that it doesn't guarantee anything about how the amount of chips that need to be used, at least to develop AI, are going to have to be limited, because DeepSeek's developments were not entirely original. Everything wasn't original. They used open source data from Meta and these other companies, if you look at like Llama and other AIs like that, to build what they had to build. That does not kind of like take away the fact that it was very impressive what they achieved. Okay, but at the same time, the drop was very exaggerated. If you look at how much Nvidia fell, 17%, that was exaggerated. So the market was due for a bounce. And considering we're in a bull market, it was due for that bounce that came so far. So that being said, what's going to happen moving forward for the markets? As far as NIO goes, there's been a lot of talk about the share price. There's been amazing growth year over year, and many of these investors are very optimistic about it. The question is, can the finances really help, at least as time goes on, to become a lot more profitable? I think that as time goes on, yes, they can do that. The concern amongst shareholders is the fact that they're not profitable yet, and it may take a while to get there. Growing sales, however, can help it or at least achieve that as time goes on. That's going to be the catalyst we're waiting for to help the share price take off. There's also Chinese New Year. It's coming up very soon. So I want to wish everyone a very happy New Year for the start of the year. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, as far as NIO goes, just know that financials are still in a stagnant place. We're still waiting for that profitability. And besides that, I didn't see anything else that's very new from the data compared to yesterday. Today, the market saw an interesting day. Finance was very flat. Health technology were a little bit in the red. But we saw a lot of tech stocks like Tesla was somewhat in the green, and then the majority of tech was in the green as well, which helped the market make a very strong comeback. That's a good sign, at least heading into tomorrow. Tomorrow, however, is going to be a very wild day because we have two main catalysts, okay? Tomorrow is going to be Wednesday, January 29th for the American markets. At 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the Fed rates decision coming out. And then at 2:30 p.m., we have the press conference, which is when Jerome Powell is going to give us a speech. Right now, the market thinks there's a 96.8% chance the Fed keeps rates the same. So they're most likely going to do that. They're not going to really change things much. But the question remains, what is Jerome Powell going to say? Because we know the Fed will most likely keep rates the same now, but what are they going to do for the future and for the rest of the year? Will they be cutting rates a little bit more than expected, or will they end up not? Donald Trump, the president of the US, has been saying that he is demanding that the Fed cuts rates as soon as possible. So he's pressuring the Fed to cut more. Whereas I don't know if the Fed is going to capitulate like that. We'll have to see. So be very patient and listen to what Jerome Powell says. That could cause the market to either pump or get a rug pull. So be very mindful of that. And then on top of this, just know that in terms of earnings, tomorrow we have Tesla, Meta, Microsoft, and IBM all announcing their earnings after market close. That's going to cause even more volatility, so get ready just to be safe. GM had decent earnings, good guidance, and Boeing had poor earnings. Unfortunately, they saw a big loss again, losing billions for the year. Unfortunately, ever since the pandemic, they've been at big losses. So that's the unfortunate truth. Hopefully, they improve their designs to help that, to offset that. So with that being said, if NIO is bullish after Jerome Powell's speech, you want to break the 4.5 area. If we break 4.5, I think we push up to about 4.7. If we're bearish, you want to see us lose 4.1, we could be dumping all the way down below 4. So it's in the middle. We're kind of trading sideways. I favor that there might be like a little bit of a balance right here on NIO to break past like 4.5. So we'll see if that ends up being the case or not. So just keep that in mind. But once again, it depends on what the Fed ends up telling us. SPY is looking more bullish right now. It looks like it wants to try to fill this gap up here around this like 607 area, but we'll see. Okay, the last time we hit the 608 zone, we do have a tendency of rejecting off of that. If we don't break 608 to 610, we could be rejecting again. If we break this, we could be pushing to like 615. It all depends on Jerome Powell tomorrow. So tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised if the market sees a bit more upside and some consolidation like this. And then we'll see, does Jerome Powell launch us to new all-time highs, or does he cause a big dump all the way back down towards like the 580s? Could go either way. Depends on what the big guy says. So we're waiting for that for tomorrow. It's going to be a big day. Will the QQQ continue to push? It looks bullish right now and may attempt to go a little higher. But we'll see, does Jerome Powell launch us back up to the highs above 535, or does he cause a rug pull to retest these lows? It depends on what the big guy says, so we'll have to wait and see. For NQ, the IWM Russell 2000, if we break 227 after Powell's speech, we're looking for the 230s. If we lose 225, we're looking for a dump to the lower 220s. That depends on what Powell says. ES technically looks a bit more bullish. It's favoring upside like it wants to fill this gap up here. I'm hoping we see an attempt to push up to fill this. Then we'll see, does Jerome Powell launch us higher or lower? It depends on what the big guy has to say, so get ready for that. But there still looks a bit more bullish. The market's still bullish. NQ, if we could break past the 21,500, we're looking for an attempt to fill the gap to 21,800. So we'll see. Do we break out here? Do we end up getting a rejection? Could go either way, so give that some time to develop. For Bitcoin is stuck in the middle, at least thus far, going back and forth between these levels. If we lose 100,000, we're looking for a dump back down to 98,000. If we break past 102,800, we're looking for a push. We're completely stuck in the middle, so we're waiting for FOMC to give it some time. Notice that Nvidia, I said I want to see this thing base at 117 to 120. We based there. Buyers are back, and we have a big gap to fill. Will Jerome Powell launch the markets, and will Nvidia break 133 to start pushing up for the 142s for a big comeback like this? Whoops, sorry about that, guys. I wasn't trying to click on that. I was trying to draw the arrow right like this. Right? Are we about to see a big pump like this, or do we get a big rejection back down? It depends on what the big guy says, but I do anticipate some upside. Tesla's trying to push a bit. It might try to push a little higher tomorrow for the low 400s. Notice that it dumped and got bought back up. We'll see if it continues to push. It depends on Jerome Powell's speech and also earnings for tomorrow, so keep that in mind. Apple's making a comeback. We have tough resistance around the 240 area. If we get some kind of rejection here, could we be forming kind of like an inverse head and shoulders? That's like our left shoulder. This is like our head down here. And this could be like our right shoulder for a bounce. Is that what's about to happen to Aapl? I would love to see that, but we'll see just to be safe if that ends up being the case or not. Might be a small dip coming before it tries to break out. We'll see just to be safe. The Coinbase looks a bit more bullish. I want to see it try to break past 282 to break out to 286. Looks a little bit more bullish, but we'll see if Jerome Powell gives us that launch or not. Amazon's a bit more bullish. We broke past this resistance at 235. If we lose 235, we're looking for a dump to 230. And if we break past 240, we're looking for a pump. Could go either way depending on Jerome Powell and the others, but we look more bullish for now, and we look like we want to break past 240. So just keep that in mind. Meta is very bullish. It has surpassed these levels. Let me just remove these drawings. It's looking bullish. If we could break past 680, we're looking for an attempt to get closer to about 700 very soon after earnings. If not, we could be dipping back down to 650, so it depends on earnings, but so far we look bullish. But don't forget about the saying that goes by, the rumors sold the news. Microsoft looks more bullish, forming a cup and handle-like structure. As long as we don't lose 446, we could continue to push for the 450s. If we lose like 444, we could be dipping lower, but it looks bullish to me. Google is looking a bit more bullish. I think we're doing a great job thus far, kind of trading sideways. If we break 197, we're looking for that attempt to fill this gap. That could actually launch us back up to about the 200s. It could be earnings that causes it to fill that gap. If we end up losing 192, we could be dumping, but this does look a bit more bullish. So far, charts look bullish, and this could help the markets. We'll see what the big guy Jerome Powell causes. Just know the VIX has this gap to fill. We haven't fully filled it yet, which means the market may have more upside. And we'll see how things end up going. So with that being said, the market looks more bullish. I'm hoping NIO breaks past 4.5 very soon to start pushing more. It is technically range bound for the time being, so give it some time. And then on top of this, just know that with the way things are going, Jerome Powell is going to be a very big factor to affect the way that things are going to continue tomorrow. So get ready for his speech at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for tomorrow. That's the next major catalyst for the markets, not to mention big tech earnings after market close. So keep that in mind, guys. And I thank you all so much for listening. Have a good day and peace out.